Hey guys, welcome to Talking Bullshit, the podcast where we discuss about bullshit. And the bullshit of the day has to do with a philosophical term, which is Parisha. Parisha is when you speak up openly and honestly, even what you're saying might be a little bit risky or make someone uncomfortable.
Speaking of which, this term tends to be often mistaken for saying the truth, which is not the case, because Parisha only cares about saying things as they are. It doesn't matter if they're wrong, it doesn't matter if they're right. So, in today's episode, we'll be discussing about how difficult it actually might be to tell the truth.
Okay, how difficult it is to tell the truth. In general, for people, it's really hard to tell the truth. I don't know why, but people are really scared of the truth. And for me, it's really easy. I like telling the truth. I think it's better than making someone suffer and believe something that it is not true. But in general, for people, it's really hard to tell the truth because, as I told you before, people are really scared of the consequences of the truth, but every time it's going to be better if you tell the truth than the consequences of lying.
Actually, I think it depends on the people you are lying to. Maybe if you are an overprotected kid, maybe you can tell some little lies to your parents, but for example, to your friends or maybe your partner, your loving partner, maybe sometimes it's really difficult to tell the truth, but at the end, I think it's the best choice you can make, really.
Saying the truth is so difficult because maybe when you're saying something you could be so mean or rude with the person that are receiving that assumption. So yeah, say the truth is difficult because that, and because sometimes we don't want to say the truth. Not all the truths need to be known, and they are difficult to assume, to take care of what the truth is. Sometimes it's easier and fast, and yeah, the best way to just lie and keep the truth for ourselves.
I actually agree with the three of them because the truth may vary. The difficulty of the truth, of saying the truth, of telling the truth, does change because some truths are more difficult than others. It really depends on the context and the vulnerability that comes within.
I would say, like, generally speaking, if I had to answer the question with a yes or a no, I would say yes. It's very difficult to me to tell the truth,
Always.
always. Because, I don't know, to me, telling the truth means getting vulnerable or hurting others. So, in those cases, it's very difficult. That, I mean, I associate telling the truth with these two,
With harm, with danger.
with these two cases, like being vulnerable or the possibility of hurting others.
And there's other thing about the truth, and it is that the truth not only is about telling it, but it can also be accepting that truth. For example, for people who have any kind of addiction, it is a long process to accept the truth that they're addicted because it's not something that comes exactly at the same time. That is another truth, the truth that you say to yourself, the way you talk to yourself. That's another kind of truth that is
Yeah.
really difficult. For example, not only addictions, for example, accepting that you're a part of the LGBTQ, that's a really difficult thing to go through, and that it's something that it has to do directly with the truth
Yes,
and how you manage it.
for example, accepting that you have like mental illness or something.
Yeah.
You have depression, you have anxiety. Yeah, I think it's also very difficult to acknowledge the truth. Like
That
not,
was the word I was
not just say it, but to like come to terms
with
with
it.
it.
Yeah. Dude, imagine the doctors. Being a
Oh my
doctor
God.
is really difficult in that sense because they always or most of the times have to deal with very difficult truths.
Yes, and they have to be frank. Like they
Yeah,
have to say things the way they are.
that's a big example of Parisha. And they have to separate their feelings from what they're saying. That must be another kind of Parisha. Like being like having to separate what you think and what you feel from what you have to say, because it's something that you have to say,
And how you say it.
and how you say it and when.
Exactly. But
That's
you can be
also,
like, oh yeah, you have cancer. You no, you can't do that.
and that's other thing. It comes with their duty. That's their duty. It's their duty to say the truth and say it as it is. And they also have to deal with timing. Because, for example, with when someone has cancer, you have to tell them right away so they can start managing it, not only acknowledging it. They have to deal with it. So you have to be fast with the information that you're sharing with people. It's really hard.
I mean, yes, with psychologists, they have to be very fast with the truth, but they have to think about how they give the truth. Because it's not just giving it like this is the thing and this is the way it is, but you have to be like fast and you have to be prepared to help. Not just saying the truth, but be aware that you have to accompany that process.
Yeah, they have to be there in the entire process. They just don't drop the bomb and that's it. Psychologists have to be there in the whole process.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like be prepared to help. Like, not just tell the truth, but we have to do this with this truth.
Yeah, that's the thing. We have to do this.
We, exactly.
And so, in that train of thought, psychologists wouldn't be a great example of what Parisha is, because they have to be constant with it. They have to be there the entire time.
And it's the thing, they have to say the things the way they are.
Yeah, but it stops from being Parisha because they have to be there. They have to care about what the outcome of that truth is.
Yeah, but for them, I mean, they have to care about the outcome of the thing they're saying, but they can't do anything about it. They have to say it and like hope for the best. Like you can manage the reaction of the other person.
Yeah, but what they do is that they give you the
Like
tools,
the tools,
your
exactly.
own tools to manage with it, to cope with it. I was thinking of that thing you were saying about being willing to help. Both doctors and psychologists have to be willing to help the people that they're talking to. That's the thing. That's like the example where we were discussing before. They do care about you, but that's the thing. Because, for example, when someone is cheating on someone that you love, it is your moral duty to tell that person you love that they're being cheated on, because you're willing to help them. And it's really different because you know that it will be a bad outcome for them. But in the long run, it's the best for them. So I think in that sense, it could be compared to what doctors do. Because you tell someone that they have cancer, hoping for them to come up with their conclusions, just as you would do with in a case of cheating. So I don't know what's the difference.
But
In both ways, it is hard.
it's hard, but I think in one case is their job, their job to
But
be
that's
frank and to tell the truth. You don't own the truth.
that information. Yeah, it's their duty. But as I was saying, it's the moral duty is the right thing to do.
Says who?
Says who? That's another question. Do you think we're all capable of telling the truth?
That we are capable, we are. We are all capable of telling the truth. We can say the truth. We can say the things as they are. But sometimes we choose just not to. But that we can, we can.
And that's okay because we're not doctors.
Yes. But for example, as you were saying, let's say like a specific example. You have a sister,
Yeah.
and your sister has a boyfriend.
Mhm.
And someday, casually, you see your sister boyfriend with another girl. And you could be like, oh, it's nothing's happening.
friends.
They're friends. But you see them kissing. Like, oh my god, what the hell am I going to do with this?
That's what when the duty comes
Exactly.
in place. Like
And
it's
also,
your duty because you love them. It's affection.
but also the danger of saying the truth.
Yeah, it's really dangerous because it will cause harm. Not saying it, that's a lose-lose situation.
So
It's about thinking in
if
the
you
long
say
run.
if you say the truth, you lose. And if you don't, you also lose.
But what's worse? I think in that case, if you choose not to say anything to your sister, to my sister in that case, if I choose not to say anything to her, that is bad for her because she's being cheated on. But in the long run, it would be also bad for me because she would be hurt not only by the fact that she was being cheated on, but also by the fact that I didn't do anything about it.
Exactly. I think the question is not like how difficult it is, but what is worse, to say it or to not say it.
In the long
I
run.
think that's the real question.
Yeah, yeah, it's true, it's true. But if we put it on a timeline, the truth is harmful, but just to some extent. I think the thing, I think the thing there is that you have to think on the long run. Like I know I'm going to cause harm by saying something, but now. But the best, as the people we interview before were saying, the best is to think in the long run, to think not the initial outcome, but what will be better in the future
Okay.
for
so,
you and for the person that you're telling the truth to.
thinking about the future.
Hmm.
To me, saying the truth is being vulnerable.
Yeah.
In my case. So, for example, I'm confessing something really important to me to another person. In a long run, I'm giving them power to hurt me in the future.
Oh, that's true.
Like,
Yeah.
let's say we're talking and I confess to you, look, I'm really anxious. I suffer from depression. I suffer from anxiety. And you're okay, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. And you're like very caring with me. But let's say in the future, we're fighting, and you use that information against me. That's what I mean. Like I'm being vulnerable, and that scares me. That's why I say saying the truth is difficult because
What
I'm going to
scares
hurt
you?
myself,
Mm.
and you're going to hurt me.
Not going to,
Like,
but it's a
probably.
probable.
Possibility.
Yeah, it's a probable thing to think about. But I don't know. It also depends on who you are telling that truth to.
Exactly.
Because in this case, I know because I know myself and I know how things work with you. I know that I wouldn't do that.
And I know that.
So why is it that you're always scared to tell the truth, even with people that you know that are going to cause no harm,
Because the possibility is always there,
even with the people you love?
even with the people I love.
So vulnerability is a constant.
To me,
As
it's always,
we were saying.
it's always present.
So yeah, as we were saying, if psychologists give you tools to manage with things, you're saying that you're giving other persons, you're giving away information that could be used as tools to cause
Against
harm
me.
against you.
Yeah.
So information is a tool that gives power.
Exactly. Information is
And
power.
not only
That's
information.
the thing. Information is power.
And not only information, the truth. Something that you know is truth. It's even more heavy.
Yeah. So I think, to summarize, telling the truth equals vulnerability.
Yeah.
And it also means power. Like you
It
give
does.
someone power, and you also have the power if you think you have the truth,
Mhm.
because nobody has the truth,
The absolute truth.
the absolute truth. And let's not talk about that because
The post-truth,
that's
yeah.
another thing. That's another
Yeah, that's
whole completely thing.
That's for another
No,
episode.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's too long. So yeah.
That's it.
I think that will be all for today. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for being for this entire more than 10-minute session. Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys in the next episode. We hope.
Stay tuned
Stay
for
tuned.
more bullshit. Bye.